A family member was asking me for advice, but it was a really difficult problem. We ended up discussing several complicated scenarios, all of which depended upon questions without answers. It was getting confusing, keeping track of all of the possibilities. That's when I basically said, you need a flowchart. However, how do you make a flowchart? Microsoft Vizio is something of a standard in this space, but that's more of a Windows solution. There isn't a macOS app version of Visio. But Microsoft addresses that issue. Their website says, while Microsoft doesn't have a desktop version of Visio for macOS, you can still work on Visio files on a Mac in your web browser. That sounds interesting, until this part. There's nothing to install, you just need a Visio Plan 1 subscription, which you can get on a monthly or annual basis. It's not even that expensive, it's only $5 a month. But what if you don't want a subscription? This isn't someone who makes flowcharts daily. Actually, there was significant apprehension towards this idea. What's a flowchart? I don't want to do that. The solution needed to be more friendly. That's why Apple's Pages app was chosen. If you have a Mac, it's very likely that you already have this software. However, most people don't realize the power of Pages. It's a really good app. While working on the printed version of a book about hype, which I built with Pages, I made something of a flowchart for the planning chapter. Although this is not currently a proper flowchart, the shapes aren't actually connected to the lines. So that's what this video is about, how to make a flowchart on macOS easily and without spending a lot of money. We can start with a blank document. The key to making flowcharts with Pages is with the Shapes button in the toolbar. Just click it to bring up a list of possible shapes. For this video, we'll be working with the basic shapes. Since this flowchart starts with a question, let's use the rounded rectangle shape. You can adjust the size of the corner radius by moving the green dot to the left or to the right. This is why creating flowcharts with Pages is something that is easily overlooked. By default, the created shape is black. To give the shape the look of a typical flowchart, the background color, or fill color, can be changed. A simple white background works, or you can choose no fill to have no background color. It's also important to change the text color to match the background. Here, the text is simply changed to black. I'm going to change the font too. I like marker felt, but you can pick the font you like. I'm also going to increase the font size. Now the main question of this flowchart can be asked. Which Mac should I buy? Apple just launched new laptops, so I figured this is a timely topic. The shape also needs a border, so a nice black line border works, but Pages does have a lot of options here. Let's keep things conservative for this project. You can also change the size of the shape. I think this question should be on one line, but that's a design decision. Flowcharts usually have compact shapes, but don't go too small. Otherwise, the text inside the box could be cut off. You can also use the guides to help you center and align your shapes. This is huge in building flowcharts, as you can make them nice and straight. Once you have a shape style that you like, you can save it for future use. In the Style pane, there's the Shape Styled section. Just click over to the next slide, and then click the plus icon. Next, we need another shape. This is the first split of the flowchart. So, let's use a rectangle shape. It shows up as the default black shape, but clicking the newly created Style button makes it look like our other flowchart shape. The text for the first decision is, should your Mac go outside? Here's where we get to work, and just like with the pivot tables video, we're going to do the unthinkable. We're going to read the instructions. By searching for a flowchart in the Help section of the menu bar, the Add Lines and Arrows in Pages on Mac option appears. The relevant section here is connect two objects with the line. It says you can join two objects with a curved, straight, or right-angle connection line. If you move one or more connected objects, they remain joined by the line. This is especially useful if you're creating a flowchart. That's exactly what we're trying to do, so we know we're in the right spot. It specifically says flowchart in the first paragraph. Then it says, before you do this task, add two or more objects to the page that you want to connect. We have two shapes waiting to be connected, so what's next? Step number 1. Click the shape icon in the toolbar. That doesn't seem to be too difficult. Step number 2. From the basic category, click the curved line to add it to the page. You can change it to a straight or right angle line later. There's the curved line right there. This is the secret to creating flowcharts with pages, as that's not super intuitive. But let's stay on track. What's the next part? Step number 3. Drag one endpoint of the line until it snaps to an object. Then drag the other endpoint until the line snaps to another object. This next step is huge. It's another secret in creating flowcharts with the Pages app. It says, if the line doesn't attach to the object, set the object to stay on page in the Arrange tab of the sidebar on the right. That's exactly what's happening here. The line isn't attaching. So after clicking the Arrange tab, we can see the Object Placement section with the Stay on Page option. That's why my book wasn't using an actual flowchart, as there are many pages. Things were bouncing around, as the rest of the book had flowing text. But if you're only working with a single page, this is fine. It's a nice quick way to make a flowchart, and it solved the problem. I was able to create a flowchart and then share it with the collaboration features. Very nice. That's what's wild about Pages. I'll fast forward ahead in the project by switching to iCloud. A flowchart can be created with the online version of the Pages app. Here's the best part. Look at the text that greets you on the iCloud.com homepage. It says, anyone can use Pages, Numbers, and Keynote for iCloud. It continues, create your free Apple ID and get started today. That is a serious shot at Microsoft's subscription-based service. Instead of spending $5 a month, Apple has provided the ability to create flowcharts for free. Amazing. So here's my Mac flowchart. It's not entirely serious, as there are many questions that go into buying a Mac. Perhaps that's a topic for another video. But for now, it's important to mention the line connection option. There are three choices: straight, curve, or corner. This is a little wonky, but it gets the job done. The trick is moving the green dot around to get the curved or corner shape that you're looking for. That's not the only issue I found, though. If you're building a simple organizational chart, Pages is pretty good. But for a decision flow, the lines need to be labeled. I didn't see an easy way to do that. These labels were manually placed. They don't snap in place like the connected lines, so when I move the boxes, I have to move the labels too. That could be problematic, so I've been saving that part for last. There was one other problem. It's a suggestion in the Pages user guide. It says you can add a connect button to the toolbar for quickly adding a connection line to selected objects. I looked and I looked, but I could not find a connect button for the toolbar. Oh well, it's not perfect, but it's close enough for my current flowchart needs, which admittedly is not a very high standard. For the last 3 years, I've had one flowchart per year on average, and that's counting this video. Anyway, hopefully this video was helpful to you. Thanks for watching.